Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. On today's topic, terrorism and its effect on South Asia, is the most saying word in this world at the moment is terrorism. Even the kids who is 3-year-old also recognize the word terrorism. First of all, I'd like to spend a couple of minutes to find out what is terrorism. There are so many definitions from many sources. These definitions will describe different types of terrorism: state terrorism, bioterrorism, cyber terrorism, and the list will go on and on. More research, more definitions you will find out. Best for today, say, let's keep it a little simple. What is terrorism? Who's terrorist? Is commonly seen on electronic media, local newspaper, on internet cafe, Facebook feed, even Twitter updates. You'll find all those the terrorism. For me, as far as I can see, the best definition of terrorism is using violence and or intimidation in the pursuit of achieving some goal is terrorism. Whether it's an individual person, whether it's a group of people, whether it's a state involved in this one, they are all called terrorists. Terrorism has become a huge phenomenon in the 21st century and is commonly associated with religion. The systematic use of violence to deter people to create fear in their minds and their hearts. However, we should remember that through religious terrorism is currently in the limelight. Terrorism is not limited to that. One thing is very clear in my mind, and that is that no religion allows any sort of terrorism, whether it's Islam, whether it's Christian, whether it's Jew, whether it's Hinduism, whatever you call it. People who kill on the name of God, Guru, Bhagwan, Allah is completely wrong. They have their own motives. They can't justify, they can't satisfy God actually by killing God's own creation. Nobody likes to be killed his own creation, and that is God. God created us, and if on the name of God we kill his creation, that is not fair at all. You can't blame God for that. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier on about the types of terrorism, there are a number of types of terrorism we have dealt with. The one most liked by the media is religious terrorism. Now let's deal with the most dangerous one, and that is now, ladies and gentlemen, that is the state terrorism. Why is state terrorism the most dangerous? Because the scale at which it has the potential to cause damage is far bigger than any other type of terrorism. State terrorism has the ability to control countries' trade, its economic, its media. It has the ability to brainwash its residents and give rise to hate, which then leads to group terrorism. And out of state terrorism, the worst thing is the group terrorism sponsored by a state. And we can see the prime example of that in our neighboring country, Pakistan. In every street, every city of Pakistan, you will find terrorists. You might not find electric, you might find petrol, you might not find water, but they are sufficient in terrorism and terrorists. Ladies and gentlemen, today's topic of the effect of terrorism in our society or effects in South Asia. A terrorist attack may not have hit your country yet, and I pray to God it does. Terrorism has an impact on everyday's life in more ways than we see at first. The first effect of terrorism is on tourism. For some countries, it is the biggest source of their income, which is tourism. It generates job, income for the local people, business opportunities, tax revenue, and all increase in the country's gross national product. However, a country hit by a terrorist attack displayed in the media as a terrorist hub, that is tourism, and hence loses out on all the benefits I just listed. A big example of this is the region. The tourism effect is one of the biggest effect you can see. Region of Indian administered Kashmir. This was an extremely popular tourist destination with heaps of culture, traditional cuisine, beautiful scenery, and magical landscape. However, the neighboring country tried to create disturbance in this region by the use of violence, led to Indian administered Kashmir today being a region people fear from entering. That was a state which used to be called a paradise on earth. People love to go there. And when people go there, they generate income. And now the position is people don't want to go there. And that is only happened due to this terrorism. Second effect is the security expense. This is the huge expense paid out by the country to prevent terrorism from either entering their country or from preventing another terrorism attack, with the country's income falling due to the lack of tourism and foreign investment, and its expense risen due to security that it does not take a mathematician to figure out that there is more money going out than coming into the country. What that creates? Poverty and hunger. That is the effect of terrorism in this world. Foreign investments, like tourism, it generates income, jobs, travel. However, one only invests where there is potential to generate income. The people, the countries, when you invest in other countries or in their own countries, the basic purpose is to make more money, to generate more income. But due to this terrorism, when an investor can see that instead of making more money, he might lose his basic investment, then how on earth he will invest in that country? And when there is lack of investment from the foreign countries, that country, to this century, cannot succeed, cannot fulfill the needs of their generations. A big example is, you can see the recent Pakistan, new Pakistan, according to Imran Khan. Unpredictably, this country has displayed in the number of drone attacks hitting them, the number of terrorist attacks destroying their welfare, the political instability, and the rise of criminality has all disrupted foreign investment from this country. And result in no electricity, no petrol, no gas, no safety, no water, poverty and hunger is everywhere in that country. And that is due to the creation of terrorism, which they are getting back now. There are many countries in this world who did not create terrorism, but they are being affected. But Pakistan is one of the countries who actually create terrorism itself to distort the neighboring countries. And now in result, they are getting that back. So lack of safety, this is a very big effect of terrorism. Safety on public transport in London was questioned in the July 7th London bombing on the London transport service. Safety at workplace was questioned in September 11 attack in the American Twin Towers. Safety of holiday makers was questioned in 2008 in Bombay Taj hotel attack. Safety in institutions of education was questioned in the very recent attack on innocent children in the school of Peshawar in Pakistan. The common thing you may have noticed between the list of effects of terrorism I've just listed is fear. The biggest effect of terrorism is fear, poverty, hunger, and that's all. These are the effects. But what we should do to eliminate terrorism? For that we have to understand the terrorism. What is terrorism? Why there is terrorism? Why people act as a terrorist? I can't justify and never justify by even single person who is killed by the terrorist act. But still, if we have to control this, if we have to eliminate terrorism from our society, we have to find out the root cause. What are the root causes? Why people become from human being to become unhuman? What happened to them? You can see actually the recent attack on Peshawar, Pakistan, were motivated to create anti-terrorist policies. However, the foundation of these policies itself instigated terrorism. Pakistan differentiated between good terrorism and bad terrorism. There is no such thing as good terrorism. The use of violence and intimidation to achieve a goal, whatever that goal may be, can never be a good thing. As Mahatma Gandhi had once said, might be few of my fellow Muslims might question me, why I quote Mahatma Gandhi. He was not a Muslim. Why I quote? But unfortunately, whether somebody is Muslim or non-Muslim, if his quotation is give me attraction and is good enough for me, I have to. And what Mahatma Gandhi said, I object to violence because when it appears to do good, the good is only temporary. The evil it does is permanent. Once upon a time, Pakistan gave birth to Taliban, and today the effect of Taliban has hit them the most. There was an example of power, as there always is the cases where violence is given birth. Terrorism grew stronger than the harmful policies of Pakistan, and today it is that powerful terrorism that is destroying the now weak policies of Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, and Mr. Chairman, we have to do something to stop this sort of terrorism. And the question is how? Terrorism is born from injustice. People use terrorism to right what they perceive as social or political wrong. We first need to understand and recognize most organizations, terrorist organizations, known terrorist organizations or groups are not organizations but ideologies. One can destroy an organization by fight, but one cannot destroy an idea without change. So what we need to do, not guns. Terrorism against terrorism will create more terrorism. We have to understand and we have to make a change. Unless we don't make a change, we cannot get rid of terrorism. We need to recognize the committing an action that energizes millions in the anger is disproportionate or misdirected will create goals and targets. We cannot speak with any person deprived of their right with credibility without accepting this. This does not justify terrorism. It simply explains, and in order to hold any hope of demolishing terrorism, we must first understand its cause. And finally, Mr. Chairman, we have to find the real culprits, not the actors. Mostly, after terrorism attack anywhere in the world, we can only find the actors. We punish the actors, but not the real culprits. Whether they are individuals, whether they are group, whether they are state, we have to find them. We have to highlight them. We should ignore the actors for time being. We have to find who's actually behind, whose motive is behind. Unless we don't do that, we cannot get rid of terrorism. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.